Okay, I'm just going to walk you through some simple usages of the Arduino language. I have an empty sketch file open, and again, two things that we know we're going to need are two functions, setup and loop. Notice that the curly braces denote the scope of these functions. The return type of these functions is void. If I wanted to comment on these, I could put in a single line comment like, this is the setup function. If I wanted to use multi-line comments, this is the loop function. Now I can define variables at the top of my file, and those variables will then be used throughout the program. A typical thing to do here would be to say int LED equals 11. When you're using digital pin 11 and you've got an LED plugged into that digital pin and you want to be able to control it, you're going to need to refer to it potentially multiple times. Again, things like pin mode, LED, output, and then inside of the loop, you do something like digital write, LED high, and then, obviously other code here. So that's just an example of, using a variable, using a type of a variable integer, and again, putting it up here at the top means that you can use it anywhere. You can also do this. I can say define my LED 10, and then somewhere in the program I could say pin mode my LED output. Now the difference between these two is this variable is allocated once. This define, when the preprocessor runs, it replaces the found instances of my LED with that variable. The problem with define is you will have a bigger memory footprint. So generally speaking, using a variable versus a define is preferable. If you want to make them uppercase, you can. Now, if I wanted to make this variable and I didn't want anybody to change it, I could use const. So that would be another thing that I could do. And then pretty much the only other specific thing to Arduino is bringing in a library. And I can do that by using a pound include. In the IDE, this is also available under Sketch. I can go down to Import Library, and it will show me a list of libraries that come with Arduino. It'll also show me libraries that I've added based upon the work that I'm doing. So, for example, if I wanted to use liquid crystal, notice that it drops that include in there for me. Okay. So if I want to see if my program is good from a C point of view before I run it, I can click on the verify. And notice I have some errors here. And that's that I left out the parameter list for these two functions, although there isn't any parameters. It's still required in the languages. And output underscore is not defined anywhere. And so now I can see that my sketch is verified and is okay. So again, just a simple demo of using the IDE and using some parts of the language. We'll see more of this, obviously, as we go through the course.